rise and shine.
Rise and shine, chop chop.
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day.
Rise and shine, rise and shine.
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine.
You guys are nerds.
This is exactly what the nerds want.
Our name shall become legend, spoken in hushed tones by nerds across the galaxy.
If you build it, nerds will come.
Nerds must love this place.
They think we're a bunch of nerds, and I'll tell you something, I think they're right.
Let the nerds take over.
Let the nerds take over.
Rise and shine, nerds. We hope you got your coffee because it's time for our brand new morning show for Love Thy Nerd and anyone who finds themselves at the cross-section of nerd culture and church culture. I'm Radio Matt. I'm the Director of Content and Resources here at Love Thy Nerd.
And I'm Deidra. This isn't my real voice.
Later in the show, we've got an extended interview with Love Thy Nerd's IRL events lead, Luke Filipiak. Today, learning about his nerdiness and streamer life.
Here's a story.
Oh, hold on. I've cut out a whole line here. But first, Deidra and I have been married for 18 years.
Yeah.
Together for 23.
Yes.
That's a long time.
Yes, it
Holy cow. I don't think I've said how long we've been together in a while. Whew.
I know. It's so
That's
sad.
a quarter of a life right there.
We're so
it's so
old.
sad.
It's sad that we're
so
old.
So sad we've been together so long.
It's no. It's just sad that it can be that big of a number.
That big of a number, yeah.
Yeah.
Only getting bigger. And so, because we've been together for so long, we're pretty much experts at marriage. And we are going to be helping other married couples figure out their problems. There we go. Now you're
All right. Here is a story from the Shreddit subreddit.
Every week.
Oh my gosh. Here is a story from the subreddit known by the acronym AITA, but since we're watching our profanity on this Christian nerd podcast, we're going to call it I Am the Jerk.
Am I?
Am I the jerk? I
thought
like
you
that line.
Went to college. Did
I'm
you
going to
go to
rewrite
college?
it.
I thought you had to read when you went to college. Didn't you work in the library at one point? No, you worked at the other place.
What are you talking about?
You
Center for Teaching Excellence.
Yeah. That's right. That's what I remember. Yeah. All right. So here's the story. Am I the jerk for starting a fight with my wife over leftovers?
Ooh.
All right. I, 33-year-old male, kind of started a fight with my wife, 30-year-old female, over her wasting food. She and I had very different upbringings when it came to food. Her family had the disposable income to eat out multiple times per month, and her family would cook large meals, enough to feed an army basically. And when the food entered leftover territory, the rule in their house was whoever gets to it first gets to it. My family was much more money-minded, only eating out on special occasions and cooking just enough for one or two meals. Takeout was never shared, and if we had leftovers, it was equally distributed. Some would be surprised to learn that this has caused a great deal of dispute in our marriage. My wife does the majority of the cooking, and she likes to order take-in a lot, as we both have demanding jobs. Over our 10-year relationship, she has learned to cook in much smaller helpings as much of it would spoil. She's not good about eating leftovers. The smell of a lot of cold food makes her feel sick. So she tries to meal prep or cook just enough to cover 2 meals max, as she knows letting food spoil irks me. When we had leftovers, I always let her know when her portion is still in the fridge. Typically, she tells me to have it if I want it. She has said before that if she were truly coming back for it, she'd write her name on it or tell me not to eat it, as she was saving it for later. But to my recollection, she has never done that. I always tell her that her leftovers are hers, so she can have them, and we go back and forth like that in several rounds. The other night, we had leftover Chinese takeout, her leftovers. I ate mine. She asked me what I wanted her to cook for dinner, and I reminded her that she has her leftovers. She said, "Oh yeah, hand it here." So I gave her the container, and I watched her dump it straight into the trash without looking at it. Wide-eyed, I asked her, "What are you doing?" She proceeds to inform me that she has come up with a new system. If she tells me 3 times that I can eat her leftovers because she does not intend to come back for them, she will throw them out before it spoils. Apparently, this was the 4th time I reminded her about these leftovers, so it triggered the disposal. I got quiet to process the fact that she made this decision without talking to me about it. And finally, I said she could have told me she was going to throw it out, then I would have eaten it. She firmly thinks that the statute of limitations expired, as she told me 3 times I could have them, and she could do with them what she sees fit at this point. I would have eaten it if I knew she tossed them out instead of conceding, with the understanding I truly didn't mind eating her eating them herself. I feel like she truly hasn't listened to, and she has disregarded my feelings and upbringing with food. Sorry, this is poorly written at the end here. I told her, okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was a question. I told her, do you, and haven't really talked to her since. So am I the jerk? All right.
This is, as I was listening to the argument, I realized something that has saved us in our marriage. And that is that we don't like the same things. I wouldn't want your
not a lot of the same.
Okay, you know what? I would want your leftovers, but you certainly would not want mine.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Like Chinese food. Yeah. You know, yeah.
No.
Stuff I have, you're like, nah, you can have it.
There's a couple things in the Chinese food realm that I enjoy, but
Fried
it's
rice.
not the stuff that you like.
Yeah.
Or at least not the stuff that you're going to order.
Or, you get stuff, but it's not cooked the way I would like, you like your steak different than I like my steak. And
yeah, you get it a little bit more pink than I do.
Yeah.
If it's a bad steak, I'm going to get it well done, and I'm just going to smother it in A1 sauce. But if it's a good steak, I'll go medium well sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't like it too chewy. Medium's a gamble.
Your face right now is telling me that you don't want it that pink.
I'm trying to remember if the last time I got medium, and I remember it was too much.
You were like, no, I can't do it.
It felt rare. It was too much. The medium well's good, usually.
Oh, goodness.
So here's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure she's the jerk.
I think he's trying to force his way of doing things onto her.
Right.
Her family, it seemed like it was, it's up for grabs. If you want it, it's in the fridge, take it.
Right.
And he's like, no, we need to separate it out and have it even. And, this is your half, this is my half. If she's fine with him just eating her leftovers, why is he not just eating her leftovers?
I think, okay, so I think that maybe she should have said, hey, if I'm telling you you can go ahead and eat them, that means I'm not going to eat them. If I ever say to you, you can have them if you want, that means I'm not going to touch them.
Right.
If she made that explicitly clear,
yeah,
maybe that would have solved this argument. But at the same time, he even laid out multiple times here how much she has done to acclimate to his concerns already over the years.
Yeah.
She cooks less food, so there's not as much leftovers. She doesn't want anything to spoil, so if he's not going to eat it, she's going to throw it out before it spoils. He already mentions that the smell of a lot of cold food makes her sick, and so she's still even trying to abide by that by allowing for leftovers. I think she's done a lot of compromising here that while he's mentioning it, it doesn't feel like he's actually giving her credit for it. It's like we've made all these changes, but still this one thing she did wrong. And so I told her, do you, and I haven't talked to her since. I mean, now I can see
she
how.
She even said like something about, if I really truly want it, I'll put my name on it.
Right. And he said she's never done that.
He said she's never done. Well, that tells me, okay, she's never truly really wanted leftovers. She's not a leftovers kind of gal. And you're trying to force her to have her portion of leftovers. Mm-hmm. Is it that you really don't like leftovers either? And you're like, I don't want to eat them either.
Yeah. Like, is this something that he's still just carrying on from his thrifty childhood?
Yeah.
Or does he not really like the leftovers either? So he doesn't want to eat two people's leftovers. And he's really just trying to force the idea, have the leftovers on her.
Yeah, Tristan Birch, first in, first served. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I lived with a family of 5, and it was rare we had leftovers, honestly, with 5 of us.
Yeah. Especially with your little brother.
Yeah. Little teenage boy, and then the boyfriends would be eating too as well.
That's true.
But I don't recall us ever divvying them up.
Well, we do that after Thanksgiving, whenever we divvy up all the leftovers. But I guess that's a normal thing.
But that's per family. That's all 3 families are together here for Thanksgiving, Tradition. We're very traditional in our cooking for Thanksgiving and make sure we have tons of leftovers.
Even when we take leftovers home, I make my own leftovers and you make your own leftovers because there's things that you want and things that I want.
I don't want your stuffing touching my turkey. I will. Yeah, see, he'll make
Ruin
his
it.
own.
I don't want even any of my food
little
touched.
set of leftovers, and then the rest is me and the kids.
I get the Tupperware that has the individual sections, so none of the things touch.
Yeah, I really think that your picky eating has saved us from having these kinds of arguments.
And often because I'm trying to eat lower carb and things, so often most of the time we don't eat the same thing anyway. When do we ever have? It's so rare. We had roast and potatoes here at your father's house a couple days ago. And I think that's the first meal that you and I have had the same food for.
In a long time.
Yeah. It's you and the kids eat one thing, and then I have to eat the low carb thing or nothing at all.
I discussed with him the other day. It is so difficult cooking now. So Matt's doing keto occasionally.
Okay, when I have the gumption.
And I was for a while too. And so, that meal is a different kind of meal. And then I have my middle child, Johnny, who is
the pickiest in the house.
So picky. So I have to do, something different for him. He is He's doing so much better.
He's trying things.
But
now.
he
That's
still does not want any sort of sauce ever.
No sauce.
No, not even spaghetti.
Doesn't want peanut butter.
No.
So making it difficult. All the things that every kid likes, and so they're the go-to foods. He doesn't like.
Yeah.
Which is annoying.
and then we have Natalie, who's not quite 2 yet, and so some things she can't eat, or I have to cut up her food. And so it's I'm cooking 4 different meals, and then Matt's kind of just on his own.
Yeah, for dinner.
You do you. See, I'm the same way. Do you?
So in this instance, I'm gonna say both of them are kind of the jerk, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot. He's expecting one thing. She's doing her own thing without kind of telling him the process. Both of those things were kind of just talk to each other a little bit more about what your expectations are with the whole leftover thing. And then both of y'all would be fine.
Yeah.
So neither of them are major jerks. I think this was just a misunderstanding that can easily be solved if you just talk it out and stop having expectations of each other. All right. Any other thoughts on that?
Oh.
All right.
I don't think so.
I think we're good. I think judgment has been rendered. We're going to stop it right there and take our first break.
But when we come back, we've got today's nerdy news story.
Hey fam, this is Hector Mirai, and you're listening to Faith and Fandom 180 on LTN Radio. So my friend Stephanie came to visit me at a big Comic-Con I was at last week. We hung out, we talked, we enjoyed nerdy things and good conversations. And then when it was time for her to go, I asked her if she wanted any Pokemon cards. I have free Pokemon cards to give away thanks to some cool people that donate them for me to give away at cons. And I was like, hey, do you want any Pokemon cards? And she's like, no, not unless you have a Raichu. And I said, I might have a Raichu. Why? And she said, because Raichu gets no love. And we proceeded to then have a conversation about the fact that people focus on Pikachu so much that Raichu gets no love, and she wanted to get a Raichu card simply out of solidarity and support for the Pokemon that is discarded and unwanted because Pikachu's too cute. And I know that's a comical thing and it's a silly thing, but the reality is it's kind of how we operate as people, because we find the way that makes us most comfortable, the way that we feel most liked and adored by other people. And as long as we can stay in that state, we really don't worry about growing. We don't worry about maturing. We don't worry about becoming not even a better, but a more complete version of ourselves. And that's the reality, is that Raichu is the evolution of Pikachu. He's the next version. It's the growth stage. And for some of us, we've been Pikachuing it for a very long time. And we should be grateful for the people that actually want to see us grow. And it reminds me of this verse in Hebrews 10:24, where it says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds." We should be intentionally thinking, caring, and considering how we can help the people in our lives grow and mature and become the best versions of themselves in God's plan and God's working, and to be able to help them be able to do the good deeds God's designed them for and to love the way that God's called them to love. Sometimes we need to evolve, and we need people to help us do that. If you'd like to learn more about Faith and Fandom, head on over to faithandfandom.org, where you can learn about our Comic-Con ministry, podcast, memes, apparel, and book series. You can even read new chapters before they make it to the next book. I'm Hector Mirai, and thank you for spending the last 180 seconds with me.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Nerds, LTN's brand new morning show, and there are 4 ways you can experience our show. We know you can't always catch our show when it premieres, and while that's a personal insult to us, we've got you covered. You can subscribe to our podcast. Just search Rise and Shine Nerds on your favorite podcast app. And of course, all of our videos are available on the YouTube channel anytime after they originally air. Let's talk about birthdays.
Ooh.
This is a weird one.
Mine's coming up, by the way.
Oh, dang, it is.
Just thought I'd give you a warning there.
Well, I already know what I'm not going to get you. Anything, essentially. South Koreans have become a year or two younger as a new law aligns the nation's 2 traditional age counting methods with the international standards. So this is a report from the BBC. The law scraps one traditional system that deems South Koreans 1 year old at birth, counting time in the womb. Another counted everyone as aging by a year every first day of January instead of on their birthdays. So you had a birthday, but you didn't celebrate your birthday. Everybody is a year older on January 1st. So everybody has a birthday at the beginning of the year.
That's so weird.
The switch to age counting based on birth date took effect last Wednesday. So President Yoon Suk Yeol pushed strongly for the change when he ran for office last year. The traditional age counting methods created unnecessary social and economic costs, he said. For instance, disputes have arisen over insurance payouts and determining eligibility for government assistance programs based on ages.
Yeah, I could see that.
Previously, the most widely used calculation method in Korea was the centuries-old Korean age system, in which a person turns 1 at birth and gains 1 year on January 1st. This means that a baby born on December 31st will be 2 years old the next day. A separate counting age system that was also traditionally used in the country considers a person 0 at birth and adds a year on January 1st. This means that, for example, as of June 28th, 2023, a person born on June 29th, 2023 is 19 under the international system, 20 under the counting age system, and 21 under the Korean age system. Lawmakers voted to scrap the traditional counting methods last December. Despite the move, many existing statutes that count a person's age based on the counting age calendar year system will remain. For example, South Koreans can buy cigarettes and alcohol from the year, not the day, that they turn 19. The traditional age counting methods were also used by other East Asian countries, but most have dropped it. Japan adopted the international standard in 1950, while North Korea followed suit in the 1980s.
So were they like the last man standing, or are there other countries that are going to be continuing this?
I feel like they were based on another article that I read earlier last year when they were first coming out or first voting on this. I feel like they might have been the last man standing, but there might be a smaller country out there still doing it. But it is so strange. So strange. Especially in that one situation, a baby born on December 31st would be 2 years old the next day.
The next day, yeah.
Like, what? How do you do this? How do you measure clothing? Can you have a 2T?
Yeah.
Like, well, he should be in 2T by now. He's already 2 years old. It's a bit much.
That's weird. Yeah, like just I know all our laws, it's like Social Security. It's your age, it's age based. Life insurance. Age based.
Who can play with what toys is age based? You know what I mean? Like you have age warnings on movies, and you have age warnings on specific kinds of toys.
Do they not? Do they
video
have
games? I have no idea.
How do they function? Their range is just way bigger.
Medication. Like you're supposed to start being able to give like children's Motrin or whatever, or no, not children's Motrin, but some allergy medicines and some other medications, vitamins and stuff when they're 2 years old.
Right. It says under 2, ask a
doctor. Yeah. And so day one for this baby at 2 years old. All right, here's your allergy medicine. Like I don't understand how they functioned.
Yeah.
But anyway. Let's take one more break. When we get back, we're diving into our main topic, our interview with Luke Filipiak.
Only ever played Pokemon Go with the kids.
That's the fun of it. You get to be a kid again and know nothing. Yeah, that's great when you have the time to know nothing and to learn it. I have very little free time.
Just walk around with them. Let them kill you.
That's actually something I would like to do. Just let them show me all the stuff that they've made and take me around. So that's something I've thought about. I thought about getting another cartridge so I can do it with them too.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
See, we didn't even get into Pokemon Go, but the kids did.
Pokemon Go? The app thing where they were going around? Did they do it? Your parents got into it.
And Eli had a, you can have multiple profiles, I think.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Because he had his own on my mom's phone. And so part of their Thursday night, grandbaby night was going around playing on Pokemon Go in the van.
Your parents get hyper fixated on things. They're like, hey, let's try this Pokemon Go thing. Okay, it's our identity for the next 9 months.
Oh, it was longer than 9 months.
Hey, you like? Are you two having fun playing Mario Kart? Let's buy everyone their own DS and their own Mario Kart and play it every Sunday, which was a blast, I'll admit. But I mean, out of nowhere, it's like, all right, let's buy 7 more DSs so we can all play. That was a fun year. That was a solid year. Every Sunday after church, we would all go. There would always be 7 or 8 of us at least, and we would just all play Mario Kart DS for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And your dad would always be like, something's wrong with mine. Welcome back to Rise and Shine Nerds, LTN's brand new morning show.
Before we jump into our main topic today, we've got an article recommendation. Yesterday, for the 4th of July, Craig Nash posted a listicle. I'm not used to these
I know you hated that word.
Posted a listicle of 10 superheroes that exemplify the best of America. You can find it on the homepage right now on lovethynerd.com.
This week, I sat down with Love Thy Nerds IRL events lead Luke Filipiak to learn more about him and what's going on in LTN right now. Today, we learn more about Frost, Twitch streaming, and things Luke nerds out about. Joining me today and this whole week is Luke Filipiak, one of a handful of official Love Thy Nerd staff members and our IRL, in real life, events coordinator, mainly in charge of our mission trips to conventions and also heading up the team this year for our first ever Nerd Culture Ministry Summit. He's also streaming on Twitch as Frostbite4, or Ivy, Roman numeral 4. We've learned about his life, we've learned about his faith journey, but today I want to learn about just how deep nerdiness runs through his veins. Are you ready, Luke?
I'm so ready.
You ready to prove yourself as a professional nerd?
I didn't know I had to prove myself. We'll see. Do we have a panel of judges? Am I judged by my peers?
You're always being judged. A simple question, maybe a big question, I don't know, but simple at least. What are some things that you have like geeked out about over your whole life? You mentioned a few of them, I think, day one, but go ahead and recap for people that might have missed it. Things that are just,
for sure.
Luke, these are the things that I love.
All right. So, like I said a couple days ago, from a very young age, I remember just being into Star Wars, watching that with my dad, eating Doritos, and just the original trilogy. And then like there were like a couple little spin-offs, like cartoons and that at the time. But like having all the Lego, like, figures for that, collecting all those sets, having just weird obscure like Star Wars toys and what have you. Video games. I had my first console was a handheld. It was the Game Boy Pocket. It was the translucent purple, and if you ever see me with my Nintendo Switch, I got one of those mod kits to do the translucent purple Joy-Cons.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it kind of just as like a nod back to my origins. And I had it like, all the new Game Boys growing up.
What was your favorite game on the Pocket? Because that's still original. That's still original Game Boy games, right? That's still the full square size thing.
Probably I think it was Super Mario Bros. 2 or Super Mario Bros. World.
Super Mario World.
Super Mario World.
The one with Wario as the boss?
No.
Ah, darn. That was my favorite.
No.
6 golden
No, that's
coins.
what I'm thinking. There was like a second one, I think. And like I played that.
That was the second.
I'll have to look.
That was the second one. The first one was just Super Mario. Oh no, Land. Super Mario Land.
I think that was it
too.
I think that was it. And I remember playing that like in the car, like at night, like leaning into the street light, trying to play.
Did you have the little weird peripheral that could like magnify it and turn a light on eventually?
Oh heck yeah. I got that eventually. I had the worm light first, and then I got the like magnifying glass one. But like I think one of my favorite consoles was the Game Boy Advance SP. So it was the first one that had a backlit screen.
That was the clamshell one, right?
Yeah. And on that I had Advance Wars, and that was like my jam. And they finally made a remake of that for the Switch, and so I played that more than I've played Tears of the Kingdom. Don't hate me.
Is it a remake, or is it on the Virtual Console?
No, it's a remake. They made Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp.
Oh, okay.
And they delayed it for like so long because of like all the wars going on, and so they were trying to be respectful. And it just they pushed it back and back and back, and then they pushed it back so much they just canceled everyone's pre-orders.
Oh.
And I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to get this now, but I loved it so much I had to get it. So, I was super into that. growing up, my first like console I plugged into a TV was the PlayStation 1. Actually, not even the PlayStation 1. It was just the PlayStation. The PlayStation 1, they like slimmed it down and like rounded the corners, but I had the like OG PlayStation.
Yeah. Just the original.
I had this like Star Wars Street Fighter game that my dad threw away because of Slave Leia. Wasn't allowed to have that in the house. And but dude, yeah, that's kind of where my gaming started. Had a GameCube.
That was the only one I didn't have. That was Nintendo. I did not have the GameCube. I switched to Xbox for that generation. I didn't regret it.
Yeah, see, so I didn't have an Xbox until the 360 in college because, again, all Xbox had was shoot 'em up games, and I couldn't have those. Even though my youth group would put on Halo parties.
Well, you're only shooting aliens then. Those are demons.
That's what I.
Those are demons in disguise.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't as lucky as Bubba in getting away with playing Diablo. He was slaying demons.
No. Well, Bubba didn't really have anybody watching him. I got away with a lot of stuff I wasn't supposed to do at Bubba's house.
Well, that's what. So, like, I would go to my friend's house and like play their Xboxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was super into video games. Now, like, still very much into it. Have a PC now, all that good stuff. But into Marvel, everything Marvel. I love TV shows, like whether they're nerdy or considered nerdy or not. Asia and I just finished the second season of The Bear. It's a Hulu original.
I've heard about that. Is it good?
Crazy good.
Yeah.
If you can, like, if you don't mind a little bit of anxiety, which I'm usually not a fan of. I'm a very anxious person, but like, I mean, like, you talk about shaky cam, like, dude, they're just like running in and out of like this kitchen and doing all sorts of stuff, and people are shouting and screaming at each other, and it's insane. But it's like a 10 out of 10 show. Like even Rotten Tomatoes has it at like 100%.
Really? So. Okay. Yeah, I've heard very minute things, but I need to check that out.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
what's been your favorite console that you've owned in your life?
I mean,
with set of games and everything, you know, like what was the best one?
I probably got to say my 360. Really? I like just everything was on that, and that's kind of like what just kind of like I said, when I went to college, I could do my own thing, and so I'm like, I'm gonna buy an Xbox 360 and I'm gonna buy Halo and Call of Duty and play that because my mom can't stop me. And yeah, I like Call of Duty Black Ops, playing zombies with people, like Halo 3 on that thing, ODST, 4 if you want to include that, even though it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been a pretty popular. I didn't, because I jumped back to Nintendo after the Xbox, the first one. I can't say the Xbox One because that's not that system. Xbox been confusing.
Did you have? So you said you were on Xbox.
Original
Did you play
Xbox.
Black? The game Black. The cover was literally just a bunch of like bullet shells, and it said Black.
Hold on, let me look at it. If I can see the
I'm
cover,
telling you,
I'll
that
remember.
game was top tier, and it did not last because it was overshadowed by Call of Duty and Halo. But like that game was top tier.
I recognize it. I have played it. I didn't own it, but I did play it. Yeah, I'm remembering that.
So not a lot of people remember it, but like I remember like it was yesterday playing the graveyard level where there's like a sniper up in the church steeple. Dude, I could so many hours just trying to get through that, sneak around. And then Fable was on the original Xbox.
Oh, that's right. So what are some things that you're really into right now?
Oh man.
Like
perhaps you've heard of this. There's this little game called Marvel Snap.
You're still running that Marvel Snap. It killed me. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was all in.
Done? Did you give up?
Oh, it was at least a month ago. Yeah, like I just like it's taking too much of my life. I couldn't do anything else.
It's so you're totally fine.
I have not been that addicted to a game in a long time.
I'm still into it, man. This season I hit Infinite for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I haven't gone Infinite, so they just released the Conquest mode, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's fine. It could be better. But I have a couple of Infinite tickets, which is you have to win you have to beat 5 people in a row. So like a tiered thing. So if you make it all the way to the end, you get a special infinity border around your like profile pic or whatever. I really don't care about it, but like I just on stream the other day like got an infinity ticket for the first time, and I'm just like, oh great, now I have to try. And then I was just super anxious. I didn't want to do it on stream, so I'm like, we're gonna play Fortnite instead. So that's the other thing I'm super into right now is Fortnite.
And that's really one that's been going on for a long time. How long have you been into it? Since the beginning or just recently?
No, not at all. So since the beginning of Fortnite, I ridiculed people for playing Fortnite. It's like, what is this cartoon of a game? Come play Halo or Call of Duty or something. And then I just was never into the building side of it. And then recently they made like a no build mode, and I dabbled in it a little bit, but then we started a young adult group at our church, and then like just people in the LCN community and people in our community. Like there's just so many people that play where I'm like, I'll try it out one season. And I was just hooked. And I think the thing that got me was it's a different game every week. So it's like every week on like Monday or Tuesday, they'll like vault some weapons, they'll put some new weapons in, they'll add like a new item, they'll take out old items, they'll change part of the map, they'll add things. And it's like, they do that on the regular, like week to week. Wow. And so it's just so fresh, so different. Like the movement, everything is so different week to week. And that's what pulls me back in.
The last time I played it was before they started letting you remove the build option.
Yeah.
And I also did not like the build mechanic. Like it just, I couldn't multitask that well.
If I want to build, I'm going to go play Roblox or Minecraft. Like, I want to play a shooter because the gunplay in that game is very well done, and the movement and everything. Now, build is what makes Fortnite unique. You take that out, it's just like any other battle royale. But that's what I like. So
yeah, I agree. Okay, well, let's jump into your Twitch life here.
Sure.
I'm gonna admit, because it is Frostbite 4, right? It's Roman numerals 4.
Yeah.
When I first saw your name, for some reason, I did not think Roman numerals. I was thinking it was Frostbite IV, like you had frostbite going directly into your veins, like you're that cold of a killer.
I kind of like that. Like I've never really explored that, but if someone asks, that's now my answer.
So why that name? Why Frost at all? Frost is kind of your shorthand online name, but what made you choose Frostbite as your online handle?
Okay, so this is going back to the last question you asked on the first day of like, what do people not know about me? Here's my gamer tag before I was Frostbite. Are you ready for this? I made it when I was in 6th grade, so go easy on me. But it was Little Jedi Man. So I still have my email. I still have that's what my RuneScape account was. And I didn't create a new email and be like, I gotta change this name until I opened my first bank account in college. And they're like, what's your email? Little Jedi Man at Gmail or at Hotmail, whatever I had at the time. And they're just like, I'm not kidding. The banker was just like, you could just create a new email, right? I'm like, oh man, you're probably right. I should.
They're free, right? That's hilarious.
But yeah, so around the time where I'm like, I'm gonna redeem the time, like I want to be able to do this and like connect with people. I don't want to connect with people being known by that name. And so I was just trying to think of something creative. And it honestly came about because at the time, that's when like Dark Knight and all of that was like super popular. And so it's like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be like Batman and take like something I hate or my fear and like turn it into my strength, like use it. And so like I hate the cold. I absolutely hate the cold. Like give me like 100-degree weather like any day over below 0. Yeah, I do not. It's just I'm gonna keep moving south. I will never move back up north. So that's where the frost comes. That's me. That's my Batman side. And then the bite is like BYTE. So that's my techie side. You know, I grew up in IT. I grew up in the AV industry, all of that. And so that was like my nerdy techie side. And then the 4, me and my buddies from high school, that all played RuneScape together. We all had that Roman numeral 4, because we had one of our buddies. He was our Chinese friend. In China, 4 is a very unlucky number, and so our thought was like, we're gonna bring all this bad luck to people, like when we face them in the Call of Duty lobbies. And so that's where that is. That literally just ties me to my high school gamer buds.
Wow. Okay. So you said you learned about Twitch early on, but how long? You said I'm remembering correctly. You joined at the beginning of the COVID time. Is that right?
Yeah.
You started streaming
so
then?
In college, or like fresh out of college, I was like watching YouTube videos on Destiny because that's what I was into. And I saw this guy's like videos like 6 hours long. I'm like, what on earth? But I was like watching it because he was just like playing the game. But then I noticed like very quickly he was like talking to someone, and then there was a chat, and I was just like, I need to figure out what this is. So I like looked at his bio, like he's got a link to this thing called Twitch. I went over there. I'm like, I can watch people play this game live. It just like blew my mind.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool platform, or the idea. I know it's not the only platform that does that. Even YouTube does it now, but
yeah.
But I had never experienced that either until getting involved with Love Thy Nerd. As they were setting up for the first online LTN con in 2020. I'm like, well, how are they going to pull this off? And just seeing what this platform was pretty entertaining. So, what's your Twitch process like? Like, how do you choose what you want to stream? What's something specific that you do that other Twitch streamers don't do, or maybe things that you've copied from other Twitch streamers and made your own?
I mean, I definitely try to do like what we do here at LTN with just like having quality content. I don't want my quality to be crappy. Like, I don't want a really crappy looking camera, and like I don't want to just do anything halfway. And so I try to keep it like good quality. I want someone to tune in and be able to hear me clearly and see me clearly in the game, all of that. But outside of that, I just try to like be inviting, invite people in, and spark those conversations because I want them to come back. I want to build that relationship with people, and people aren't going to stay if you're talking in a McDonald's drive-through microphone, and you got that your camera in a Happy Meal from the same trip to McDonald's. And so I think that's like one thing that I just strive to do, is have at least good quality, like for people to watch and enjoy. As far as like deciding what game I want to play, it's literally just what I'm into.
Yeah.
And if I were to give someone advice on like what they should play, like play what you love, because if you're not, and I've done this to myself, I've tried to suffer through a game that I did not like just to get through it on stream. And it shows. People can tell that you're not enjoying something, and that goes back to not being good quality content.
Yeah. When we earlier on, I think it was still when you were streaming with LTN like every day. I think there was a week that you were going to be gone, or maybe you were sick or something, and so all of us kind of split up the days.
Yeah.
That you're doing, and I'm like, well, people have been trying to get me to do Fable for a while.
Oh yeah.
And so I was going to try Fable on stream, and so I did that as one of my days. Is I played Fable for the first time brand new out of the box kind of thing. I hadn't even pre-played it or anything to get a feel for it. And I enjoyed it enough that day. And I'm like, I might try and keep this up. So I moved it to, my night and at the time my channel. And the second one, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm into this.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why this would be entertaining for a lot of people, but this isn't my style. But I felt that call of like, you said you were going to keep playing it, so you should keep playing it. I'm like, but do people really want to watch me pretend that I'm enjoying the game?
So I've played so many different things. Like I started, I think like the first thing I ever streamed was Surviving Mars, which is one of my favorite like Sims like game that I play. I went on to like Gears of War, played that for a little bit. I played Halo, I played Apex. Like today I stream mostly Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
And then some Fortnite here and there. But it's play what you love, focus on that, and you'll bring in people that also love that, and you'll have genuine conversations with them. Like,
right.
Because you both love that.
So
if someone tuned into you playing Fable and they're asking all these questions like, oh, I love this game, like what do you think about this? And you're just like, I
don't know the terminology. So last question here for this on Twitch and on Professional Nerd streaming here for today. What is the best thing and the worst thing about streaming on Twitch or streaming in general?
I mean, the best thing is definitely the community, like tuning in, playing something that you do love. I've met a lot of people that are into Marvel Snap the past, few months. That like we have genuine conversations of like, oh man, I think armor is such an underrated card. Like all like talking about different decks we use it in, or like even I poke fun at like high evolutionary decks and like people that use that having no skill, and it's all for fun. But it's like it like the community around it, like whether you agree with like my hot takes or not. People are genuinely there to just like chat about stuff that they love, and that's just kind of like an open door. Like we're going to talk about this, I believe, tomorrow, of just like going on mission. Like it's no different online where you're just like, hey, I speak the language of Marvel Snap right now, and I can talk to you, and I have this open door to like talk to you about this, and then you're going to keep coming back because you want to hear more about that, and then you want to hear more about me, and I want to hear more about you, and then the next thing you know, like we're sharing life together. And so that's the best thing, and it goes back to my journey of just like being able to redeem that time to like build those relationships. Like They take time.
Yep.
Worst thing is it takes a lot of time, to like have a decent stream. Yeah, you don't want to stream like less than 2 or 3 hours. Like when you do stream, and doing that on the regular, like right now, I only stream twice a week. I would love to stream more, but as you said in all of the intros this week, I do our mission strips and I'm helping with NCMS, and it's a lot. And so maybe one day when I have a little bit less on my plate, I'll be able to add another stream or two, and be able to dump more time into making those better quality. Because like right now, I'm kind of just keeping it afloat. It's not like I'm, raking in a ton of new viewers or anything, but it's not like it's going anywhere, like dying. And so I'm really thankful for it. But yeah, it's for those of you interested, it's not just hitting go live. You got to make TikTok content, and you got to be on Twitter, and just, you got to have other avenues of content to be able to like bring in community. So,
yep. Well, I think we have learned a lot about Luke from several different angles. Tomorrow, for the final part of our interview, we're going to talk about Luke's work with Love Thy Nerd. But that is all for today. Thank you for joining us again, Luke.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
We'll take a pause there. I'll have our final chat with Luke tomorrow as we focus on LTN missions, including his recent trip to Origins Game Fair and the upcoming Nerd Culture Ministry Summit. I keep wanting to say Missionary Summit. But as for today, we are out of coffee, so it's time to wrap things up.
But before we go, let's get our verse of the day. Today's verse is 2 Corinthians 4:18. So we fix our eyes. Jeez.
Aha!
Apologize. 2 Corinthians 4:18. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal.
And with that, our Wednesday show is coming to a close. Thank you for joining us for Rise and Shine Nerds. We want to invite you to get behind the scenes by joining our LTN Discord community. Once you've joined at lovethynerd.com/Discord, simply go to the channels and roles and click on the Rise and Shine Nerds channel to gain access to it. You can help us plan shows and segments and even be on the show yourself on occasion. And currently, we are taking suggestions that we will eventually vote on for the new name for our community. Apparently, most people don't like Shiners because there's too many other things named Shiners. And so we are taking options and we will be voting on it during our next hiatus. Subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app or through the Love Thy Nerd YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode. And tell us what you think of the show via our socials at Rise and Shine LTN on Facebook and Twitter. Once again, I'm Radio Matt.
And I'm Deidra.
And as always, a reminder,
Jesus loves you, nerds.
Thank you.